What is a retrospective?
My take on it is it's an opportunity for a team to step away from day-to-day delivery work, whatever their full-time jobs are, and inspect themselves and the world that they're currently operating in and try to find ways to make it better. Identify opportunities to make it better.
Sometimes it's a space to just unload all the things that suck and figure out one thing you can make suck less. Depends on the space you're in.
Suck less.
Sometimes it's not about some big aha moment or big improvement. Sometimes teams are just in the suck zone and just need to make it suck a little less, right? And sometimes you get addicted to that, right?
Yeah.
You start tackling something you can control and you make it a little bit better, you can get addicted to that and keep trying to make things a little bit better as a team.
What's the ideal end result of a retrospective?
Action.
What do you mean?
Not just an action, but I would say an experimental action.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you approach the output with an experimental mindset, where you say we've identified a problem, something that sucks, and we want to make it suck less. We think we can do it this way. We're going to run this as an experiment. Like, let's figure out what our controls are and what our variables are, and try to change as few things as possible so that we can actually measure whether something's getting better or worse. Because if you change everything, it's like, okay, every week Scrum sucks, so we're going to switch to Kanban. Well, Kanban didn't work, so let's go back to Scrum. We're boiling the entire ocean. We have no idea what's getting better or what's getting worse. So pick one thing you're going to change, and then measure that. And if your retros are every 2 weeks, okay, we're going to change this thing for 2 weeks and see how it goes. And if it has the expected outcome, great. We'll instantiate that action that we took. And if it doesn't, then we'll figure out, is this still the right experiment to be having? Should we change the experiment, or should we pick a different topic entirely to try to make better?
Sometimes the experiment uncovers other things.
Yeah.
Right? You set out to make something better. It either doesn't make it better or makes it worse. Mm-hmm. And that uncovers something else that you didn't know.
What are some really easy ways to tank a retro? Like, you've got everybody's engaged, they're ready, it's on their calendar, so they showed up and they're like, I'll give this thing a shot. How do you ruin it for them and make them say, I'm never coming back to another one of these?
Immediately run out of the room and tell everyone's bosses what happened and who said what.
Okay.
That'd be a great way.
All right.
Just destroy the psychological safety. The facilitator is the only one who talks the entire time. They don't let anyone else talk. Like, I'm going to tell you what I think of you for an hour.
Calling people out, I think that can tank it real quick. If the team isn't already at that space where they're comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
I think putting people on the spot and making them uncomfortable.
Calling attention to their failures in front of everyone, like if they knocked over a glass and then not letting it go. Yeah.
So what does a retro look like? What could a retro look like when it's good?
I like my retros to always follow the flow of setting the context, gathering the data, generate insights, decide on an action, and then close. Every time I follow that flow, no matter what activities I put in each of those sections, mm-hmm. that I always seem to get to some sort of experiment at the end. That's my preferred method of retro, regardless of what it's for.
Yeah, I think there's 1,000 formats out there and 100,000 websites all copying and pasting each other to say what those 1,000 formats are that your retro could take. But I think for it to be productive and valuable, it actually does need to have an output, and those outputs need to be those experiments. I think it's a very expensive meeting. Time-wise, you're taking expensive people and taking them away from the thing that you pay them for.
Yeah.
So it really ought to have a return on investment for the company that's giving its people the space to do the retro.
If it's continuous improvement, and we're really just trying to find the next thing to improve, mm-hmm. why not just send an email and get people's opinions and then choose one?
How often has that worked?
I think some of the values in the conversation, it's even, a team that is having these discussions and tackling hard problems together comes out as a better team, even if the discussions were difficult, even if they were uncomfortable. Yeah. There's more.
So there's a team building aspect to retro.
More so, it's not always obvious what you need to talk about. If things are really terrible, hey, our prod keeps going down. Yeah, we should probably talk about that, and maybe we have some control over it, maybe we don't. But oftentimes, especially once teams get out of the forming and norming stages, pretty calm waters. Like, we're delivering, we're in a good cadence. It's okay. It's hard to find the right thing to talk about. It's not going to be on the forefront of people's minds if it's not a big pain point. So you usually have to have that discussion and use some kind of exploratory format to find the right thing to talk about, because you usually have to dig.
Although there's something to be said for that continuous improvement. We're doing our retros, we're continuously improving little things, and sometimes it might be kind of superficial, right? Like, oh, we're always late to stand up. How do we fix that type of thing? But going through that and seeing action happen and seeing things improve sometimes is what they need to be able to get to that deeper thing, right? To be able to have the conversation that really needs to be had to improve the thing that was really difficult.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that.